We'll be tracking in this bulletin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is to undertake a rather long overdue two-day visit to Israel this month. This will be his second visit after the historic visit in July 2017. The first historic visit marked the 25th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Both countries are ancient civilizations and are surrounded by inimical neighbors in the electoral context. India has supported the Gaza peace plan but stayed away from the Trump-led Board of Peace. All right, so Prime Minister Modi, of course, post 2017 will be once again visiting Israel, and we all know the kind of relationship India and Israel share with each other, and we've seen that both Prime Minister Modi and the Israel Prime Minister has spoken about the relationship of both the countries and how, of course, they have been sharing their ancient civilizational things with each other. And also, of course, in many ways, both the countries have similarities. And that's the information which we are getting at this point, that Prime Minister Modi is again visiting Israel. It was, of course, a overdue visit, but finally, of course, this month itself, Prime Minister Modi is going to visit Israel, and this is going to be a very, very significant visit, especially at that point in time when relationship between Israel, Iran are not in good in terms of the entire things which are panning and shaping there in both the countries. So the bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and Netanyahu have been seen in the past also, and also, of course, even in 2017 during that visit of Prime Minister Modi, we saw that how close both the Prime Minister were. And in fact, when Netanyahu had come to India earlier, he also, of course, talked about the relationship between both the countries which they share, and also, of course, the civilizational closeness which they have. And of course, here on CNN News 18, we will be giving you all the exclusive coverage of that visit. CNN News 18's Sanjay Suri is joining us live from Tel Aviv. Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us here. Tell us about the importance of this visit of Prime Minister Modi post 2017 to Israel. Or we seem to have lost contact there with Sanjay Suri. We'll get him back. But of course, this important visit of Prime Minister Modi, which is likely to take place next week. And also, of course, this visit is coming at that point in time when war clouds are looming on Iran. Of course, we've seen the statements coming from the United States side, how they are threatening Iran on their nuclear energy thing. And in fact, Prime Minister Modi is likely to visit next week to Israel. That's the information which we are getting. And of course, this visit of Prime Minister Modi will be very closely tracked by us here on CNN News 18. Also, of course, we understand the relationship, whether it is related to defense and in various other sectors, is between India and Israel. That has been very, very significant. And also, importantly, we've been discussing about this, the cultural ties that are there between both the countries, and both the prime ministers have spoken about that relationship with each other. And of course, when last time both prime minister met, the bonhomie was on display, and that was something which was significant. All right, CNN News 18's Aman Sharma is joining us on this story. Aman, of course, this is going to be a significant visit post 2017. Tell us about the significance when both Prime Minister Modi and Netanyahu will be meeting and will be together.
Well, Arun, the PM's visit is likely in the coming week to Israel, and this is expected to be a big visit, though it's still to be officially announced. But still, what we are hearing is the Prime Minister could be in Israel, and both the countries have shared a very close relationship. The Israel Prime Minister, in fact, had invited Prime Minister Modi to visit Israel, and that is in that context we are believing that Prime Minister could be in Israel very soon. It's very likely, and the visit also coming at a very interesting time. When there are war clouds looming over Iran, we have seen how Donald Trump has been speaking very aggressively that Iran must mend its ways and Iran must fall in line, or US forces could move against Iran in the coming days. And we have been hearing this news for a while now. At the other hand, we have Iran, which has also adopted a very aggressive posture in the whole region. So the whole region is very, I would say, volatile and tense right now, and that is why we will have live coverage, in fact, from Israel. Our colleague Sanjay Suri will be live with us soon from Israel, and he's already in Israel to get CNN News 18 the global edge in the coverage from Israel ahead of the PM's likely visit, Prime Minister Modi's likely visit to Israel, as well as all the uncertainties over in the region because of the war which we are thinking could break out between US and Iran. We have all seen how Iran's nuclear program has been a big worry for the US and in fact the entire West, and that is why we are seeing that US has been telling Iran to fall in line. And over the past couple of months we have also seen these civil protests breaking out in Iran, and Donald Trump has repeatedly said that these protests, they are on the side of the protesters. US cannot sit idle, cannot turn its eyes away from what is happening inside Iran. So very clearly the war clouds really looming over Iran, and in this context and in this atmosphere, we also are looking at a likely visit of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Israel sometime next week. We are hearing the Prime Minister may be in Israel to meet his counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu. The Prime Minister could also be holding key talks, bilateral talks, as well as delegation level talks. This is what we are hearing, that this may happen next week when the Prime Minister is likely to go to Israel.
And Aman, is there anything related to this timing of Prime Minister Modi's visit? Because as you also mentioned that there is war cloud on Iran. There have been continuous warnings coming from the United States time. At that point in time, Prime Minister Modi going there, is there any strategy behind that? What message it sends out?
See, I think, Arun, the Prime Minister's visit is, the likely visit is more in context of our existing diplomatic relationship with Israel. It is a time-tested relationship. We are close strategic partners, security partners, and India's stand when it also comes to, the Israel-Palestine war, which had broken out earlier. And, Donald Trump achieved that kind of a ceasefire between both the sides, and that Gaza peace plan was rolled out. So India has been, maintaining a very delicate, I would say, a very balanced line when it comes to the Israel-Palestine conflict. On the other hand, India has also stood by Israel. I would say in this entire conflict, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has himself said that there can be no double standards when it comes to terrorism, and that is why you see our statements in the past also regarding the Israel-Palestine conflict. Of course, India has always stood that there should be a war is not a solution. This is not the era of war. The Prime Minister has said on repeated occasions, be it the Ukraine-Russia war or be it the Israel-Palestine war. But India has also, I think, solidly backed Israel when it comes to the action against the terrorist activities of Hamas in Palestine. So in a way, India and Israel being very close strategic partners, they are very keen to take this relationship forward. And the Israel Prime Minister has been here, and now we are expecting that the Prime Minister's likely visit to Israel could be also solidify the relationship even further.
Stay with us, Aman. We also have Sanjay Suri live from Tel Aviv. Sanjay, thank you so much for joining us. As Aman was speaking about the peace which India talks about, so can we say that Prime Minister's visit to Israel, and we know, of course, Israel and Iran's relationship, could be that a message of peace which Prime Minister Modi would be taking to Israel? And also, of course, tell us largely about the significance of this visit of Prime Minister Modi. Or we seem to have lost the contact there with Sanjay Suri. Let me quickly go back to Aman here. Aman, you was speaking about the peace that India talks about. So I was asking Sanjay about this, that Prime Minister Modi will be taking that message of peace to Israel, because we all understand the relationship between Israel and Iran.
Well, absolutely. Arun, see, when Donald Trump had also achieved this, this kind of a peace deal between Israel and Palestine, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was among the first leaders to congratulate Donald Trump for achieving that particular peace deal, and that has been the context that India always stood for peace in that region. India always stands for a two-state solution. That has been India's long-standing diplomatic position when it comes to Palestine as well as Israel. India wants peaceful coexistence between both the nations, but at the same time, India is also a strong strategic partner of Israel. We have a close relationship of defense weapons that we buy from Israel, or be it the intelligence cooperation that we have with Israel. This is a relationship which India really values, and that is why you've seen Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Benjamin Netanyahu making multiple visits to each other's countries, and there have been diplomatic great relationship between both the nations. Both the leaders, in fact, have a great chemistry as well, and that we have seen in the past. So in that context, I would say the PM's likely visit to Israel is going to be very, very significant. What is achieved from that, we'll have to wait and see when and that visit happens. But it's very clear that the diplomatic relationship between both the countries is very strong. And as I said, the larger context of this visit, because we have a war looming in that region as well, it would be very interesting to see what the Prime Minister has to tell the Prime Minister of Israel when he visits there, because of course Israel will be an important partner of the US if the attack happens on Iran, as everybody's been expecting. So Israel is going to be a partner of the US in this war. Israel is going to be a part of the war, in fact, if we can say that. So clearly the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi's likely visit to Israel is going to be extremely important in that context.
And Aman, we've seen the bonhomie on display between Netanyahu and Prime Minister Modi. And also, if you can tell us about the historic tie-ups or historic closeness that we have with Israel.
Well, absolutely. Over the years, in fact, Mr. Modi's government also and the previous government also, I would say the UPA also had a very close relationship with Israel. Under Manmohan Singh also, the relationship had been very strong. But I think under Mr. Modi, the relationship has acquired an even more strategic and diplomatic depth. And that is why the reason we see that when the Prime Minister visited Israel, remember those beach pictures with, Benjamin Netanyahu, and the kind of weaponry we buy from Israel becomes extremely important, especially in the context after Operation Sindoor, when India is looking, it has upped its defense budget as well by almost 7 to 8%. It's the highest ever defense budget allocation which has happened in this year's budget. A lot of that will go into capital expenditure and buying a lot of weapons from abroad, the latest weapons. And of course, France and Israel remain the two big markets from which India looks to buy defense equipment to solidify its own arsenal here. So in fact, this visit could also see many talks around if the visit happens, which is likely, a lot of talks around this defense cooperation also between both the sides, and that has been historically a strong relationship between both the leaders. Also, Mr. Modi has been very keen that, Israel, the bond becomes stronger, the people-to-people bonds, for example. Yes. We have a strong Indian diaspora there as well. So India has always stood that the Indian diaspora and Israel is a very, very important part of our larger diplomatic gestures and culture. And that is why I think this visit may also, if the Prime Minister visits a diaspora kind of a community event, can also be expected during the PM's visit.
That's right. The story is that Prime Minister Modi is likely to visit Israel. This is going to be his second visit. The first one is in 2017. And it's going to be interesting. And of course, here in CNN News 18, we'll be giving you all the updates. Thank you so much, Aman, for putting this story into perspective. With this, we are